What is up, guys? Matt here, coming at you with some brand new brushless combos from GAC Racing, GAC Racing.com. You can see some good looking combos here. Pretty small ESC. This thing says 2 to 4S, 6 to 7.4 volt, 5 amp BEC. And check this one out. This one is actually made to fit the FCX24M. It will work in the SCX24, AX24, obviously, but it will also fit the 24M because of this tiny little 3500 kV motor that it's got here. So very cool that we've got this new system that will bolt straight up to the 24M. Very excited about that. They also have a kit for the TRX4M, which should work with the Ascent 18 as well. I've been able to bolt everything for the TRX4M straight up to the Ascent 18. So that should fit both of those. And then you can also get just the motor with a motor mount for the SCX24. Here is a quick look at what all comes in, like this kit for the FCX24 or AX24 combo. As you can see, the ESC here has a really good size to it. So about a fingertip. Look at that, nice size. This is not huge. It's not the smallest I've ran, but it's definitely not the largest. A very good usable size here for this. You can see the aux cable plugs in here, and this will allow us to adjust some of our settings with our transmitter. So like possibly a drag brake adjustment, or if you want to have forward brake reverse, that sort of thing, you can switch it through the transmitter and kind of alternate back and forth. We'll play around with that a little later once we get this installed. You have your battery connectors, 2 different types here. Really cool that we've got a JST. That's what I run, and I feel like a lot of people run. You can see the motor is a nice tiny size, so it's going to fit well in the 24M. And then you have this inside of the package as well. This does have Bluetooth built in with an app that we will use. So you can just scan this with your phone and it will pull up the app. We'll download that app and check out some of the tuning as well. So that is very cool. And then these metal sliders, you can see here, products ordered before May 1st, receive complimentary metal sliders. So cool free gift, right? All of this for like 50, 60 bucks, depending where you pick it up. So I'll link it in the description. But this ESC, I'm excited about the size of this. You know, it's a very usable size, 2 to 4S. So really cool. Can't wait to get this installed. So let's get it in the 24M and then we'll check it out. Just to give you guys a little bit of a size reference here. This is a Lizard Ultimate. It is almost the exact same length and width as it, just slightly taller or thicker than the Lizard Ultimate itself. Similar to the Python Pro, but slightly shorter. And then as far as the Quick Run, the Hobbywing Mini 24, you can see mine is crammed inside of here, but it is about the same like length and width. It's a little thicker than the Hobbywing system, but it does sort of remind me of the Hobbywing system with the aux cable and everything. So very similar to the size of that, slightly thicker, as I said, but very cool. We've got the Bluetooth built in and this aux wire and everything. So super excited about this ESC. 2 to 4S as well. The Hobbywing will only do 3S, so being 2 to 4S, that's very cool. Here you'll see we're setting at 31.5 by, trying to do this one-handed here, 17 basically. And our thickness is about 14. I have a piece of double-sided tape on the bottom of that, so when I mount it up. So that gives you your exact dimensions in case anybody's wondering. All right, so I got this thing installed, but I wanted to talk about kind of what you're going to need, because this is not 100% plug and play. You are going to need your own transmitter and receiver. So I get a lot of questions about receivers. I don't think people really understand, but this is your ESC and receiver. So this has the ESC in it, your speed controller, and this receiver where we plug in our servos and stuff. We're taking this out, replacing it with a standalone ESC. So we need the receiver and transmitter. I'll link a cheaper one in the description that I use, the Dumbo RC. They are really good. I just went with the radio link on this one because I prefer to use this when I can, and I had a bunch of these receivers around. But you will have to change out your connectors as well on this. So the servos on the FMS trucks, I really wish they would just change those. But they have the white connectors. I don't even remember what they're called. But they have the little white, tiny little connectors. We need to change them over to these standard plugs right here. So I have a video on that, a little kit that you can get off of Amazon that makes it very simple to do. I'll link that in the description as well. So you're going to need that receiver, and then you should be pretty good after that. If you're going to use the stock battery with this JST or the adapter that it comes with, you may have to trim these little edges off. I trim, like, just take a hobby knife and just cut that off the edge, and it will plug straight into here. So let's power this up, take a quick look at it. I'm going to pull up the app. I do feel like the app is lacking a little bit, and let's talk about that. So the GAC Racing or GAC Racing, whatever. Again, this comes with this little thing. You can scan it with your camera. It will find the app for you. Download it. You can see here connecting. So we are connected, and we have parameter settings. So we're now connected to this ESC. We have our version number up here, our BEC voltage. We can change that between 6 and 7.4. I just leave it on 6 with this stock setup because it doesn't speed it up that much, and it's really harder on those stock servos probably. So rotation direction, that is your motor rotation. So if you power this thing up and your forward is reverse and reverse is forward, you can change it here or on your transmitter usually. We have our modes. So we have forward, reverse with brake, or forward, reverse crawler mode. That's what we want, it's crawler mode. Voltage cutoff. And here's my thing, like, as you can see, sometimes the app is a little laggy, it seems. I noticed it would just kind of freeze at times. We have FOC, constant speed mode, startup range. I'm not really going to mess with any of this stuff. The only thing that I couldn't find is where I can do anything with the aux cable. So we can hit save. It beeps, says modify successful. It's actually working better on this phone, my company phone here, for whatever reason, than it was my personal phone. It really seemed to freeze up quite a bit on it, so could be something to do with what phone you have and that sort of thing. But so I don't know. I made sure and plugged the aux cable in because I thought maybe it didn't list it unless it was plugged in. But I still didn't get any extra tuning capabilities or see anything where usually you can come in here and it'll say aux, you know, whatever, and you can set something to that. Like you could set it to change this where you could bounce back and forth between forward, reverse with brake, to where like maybe you just punch this button and it switches between these two or something like that. But I don't see anywhere. I just changed that. I don't know what it was on, but we just won't save it. Anyways, that is the app. It's pretty basic, very similar to a lot of the apps we're getting. For the price that you're paying for this thing, pretty freaking sweet that you got any tuning, right? So I put my low and high, so you can probably hear that. I'm shifting. Jeez, okay. It must have finally clicked into high there. And I may have to adjust my endpoints a bit. So let's check the crawl real quick. The low gear in these 24Ms is just super low. It's insanely smooth with these brushless combos. And this should have pretty good wheel speed in low. And then we always have high gear we can switch into. Obviously, the crawl is going to be really good. Look at that. let's try clicking into high right here. So you can see our drag brake's holding good. If we click into high gear, and I may have to adjust my, yeah, there it went. My end points a bit. We're now in high gear. As you can tell, it stutters a little bit. You can still crawl in high, but you're gonna get a little more stuttering there. But in low, there is none of that. Very smooth. Let's check this transition right here. So when we go from this super slow, I can hear the motor turning there and you couldn't even see the truck moving yet, but super slow, ramping it up a little. Try it again. Really about as smooth as I can be. This thing is. So crazy smooth, super small motor, 3,500 kV here. Look how nice and neat that fits in there. With these little metal sliders that are free with it right now, perfect place to mount the ESC, as you can see. And you could actually move your battery here if you wanted to, and I probably will do that. Run a little smaller pack. Just want to make sure it's not hitting the motor really, but a smaller pack would fit well here. That gets that weight off of the back and just that much lower. When you can drop that weight down that much lower, it's definitely going to help performance, especially as I maybe throw a few scale accessories in the top of this. I haven't really ran this one. I've mostly ran my other 24M, but I do think I'm going to start putting a little runtime on this one. So let's take it out, just see how it crawls. So I wanted to start the running off here with a little bit of a speed run to kind of show you. This is on 2S, low gear, and then I click it into high gear. You'll notice the difference. All of the running was done on a 2S LiPo, all of the crawling. And for what this truck is capable of, I never felt like I needed more wheel speed. You know, this is a basically stock truck. So the low gear, even on just 2S, and here's a 3S pack tossed in, that was low, and then this is high right here. Obviously on 3S, you're gonna have way more than you need in high gear and even more in low. So it's definitely gonna be very usable in my opinion. Like I said, this truck is not insanely capable. It's not a comp crawler, so I didn't find myself needing more wheel speed. After all of my crawling, I decided to play around in the grass and dirt and just kind of run this thing around. This is all on 2S right here, just to kind of check motor temps. And I did all of this playing, actually a little bit more than what I put on here, but just kind of running this thing around in high gear, up and down the grass, messing with the cat a little bit, and it didn't even get warm at all. Again, this is on 2S, high gear here. But this was after all of my crawling. So I did all of my crawling and then did this right back to back, and it was not warm at all. Not even hot. Not even warm. So I'm going to leave you with a bunch of running, let you guys just watch this thing working, because I tend to repeat myself a lot when I'm, trying to give good info on this stuff. But I never felt like low really wasn't enough for this truck, as I mentioned earlier. See, repeating myself again. But out on the rocks, at times maybe you'll want to hit high gear to bump up something. But if you're running a 3S in this, I feel like you'll definitely have enough wheel speed to get the things done that you're going to be doing with a scale trail truck like this. Especially this one, for me personally, like I said, it's basically stock. Repeating myself again. It's going to do just fine, especially on the 3S. Repeating myself again. I'm sorry, guys. I just had to do that. I had somebody mention how much I repeated myself in a video. So, You guys get to hear me repeat myself again. But seriously, it felt great. I love this combo in here. The only thing about it is you're going to be $100 deep in this if you don't have your own transmitter and receiver already. You know, I have receivers around everywhere for different builds and stuff. So I can toss a receiver in this. It doesn't cost me that extra bit. So, and I had the kit to adapt the servo and stuff that you're going to need that I'm going to recommend, which will be linked in the description, all of this stuff. That's $11, $12 for that kit to change your servo wires over. You're going to have to do that little bit of work. It is easy. There's no soldering, anything like that. I have a video on it. Link in the description for that. Repeating myself again. You will need those few things if you don't have them around. For me, I had those things around, so I could get into this kit in this truck for $55. That's what it costs on the site. I'll link it in the description as well. $55. I have nothing to do with GAC Racing, GAC Racing. I don't even know how to pronounce the name right. They did send this over for me to check out. They contacted me through email and said they had these systems, and I was like, hey, definitely send me one for the 24M, because I love these little trucks, and I don't think they get much attention. I like that they're actually more true 24th scale. And you can see by the crawling I'm having to do on the course here, you really got to kind of pick those lines and trail this truck. It's not going to go out and just slay everything on the course. But I enjoy that. And the slow crawl and control that this system gives you makes that so much easier. You know, I found myself kind of backing up quite a bit. A lot of times I always try to take these lines where I don't really have to back up much, because that's what people want to do when they're out comping, you know. But in real life, if you're putting this thing on a cliffside like this, you're going to back up as much as you need to keep from rolling this thing down a hill. So, and maybe you wouldn't have it out on a freaking mountainside like this. I don't know. But backing up, moving forward, that's part of it to get the lines that I needed for this. And having that control from this brushless combo made it so much easier. And it's really, the control's perfect. I mean, you can be as smooth as your trigger finger can be, basically. So an absolute great system. It's going to depend if you have the things around, at least a receiver and stuff, to kind of get into it, you know, whether it's worth the $100 to you. I mean, I always say money is kind of subject to the buyer. Some people have more money than others. So spending what you spend on the truck, maybe that's not your thing. But if you have the stuff around to throw this in, $55, $60 for this system is great. It's a very good combo. We've got the tuning. Hopefully they kind of improve on the app. It has what it needs and kind of gets it done, you know. But as I mentioned, I didn't really see the aux tuning in there, so I don't know what we're supposed to do with that. But besides that, everything else worked great. I do think this is a little more beginner friendly than the Alley motor and ESC. I put in one of these before that required you to kind of solder or, you know, make a battery connector, kind of solder the motor, you know, some connectors on it and that sort of thing. This, the motor bolts straight up. It has the standard plug we're used to seeing on all of the SCX24 brushless motors. So it would really plug into most of the brushless ESCs. So if you have an ESC around and you just want the motor, you could get the motor and bolt it straight up and be set. So really it's just a matter of changing over those servo wires. So you'll need to change your steering servo and your shift servo. And then I actually changed the plug on my lights as well so that they would plug in. But the kit that I'm going to link in the description, it allows you to change those, and it gives you some of the JST battery connectors and stuff in there as well. So if you're, you know, needing to change any of those down the road, I've had this kit for a year or two, and it just comes in handy when I need it. So it's one of those things for $12, you just have it around. When you need it, you use it. So go watch that video. I promise you, it's very easy. If you're considering to do this, you can do it. And that's really about it. I'm just going to let you guys watch this thing crawl a little bit more. Very smooth in all situations. And as I mentioned, I felt like the wheel speed was great. All of my crawling was on 2S. So I could even go 3S and have more wheel speed. And you guys know I love the wheel speed. So I appreciate you guys sticking around. Peace.